Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is time for episode 4 of my Stamp Set of the Month series featuring the Peekaboo Fair stamp set from Avery Elle. Every week this month I have brought you new ideas with this stamp set, and today is one of my favorites because I am making slimline cards. I love slimline cards, and this set is another great one to make these fun sized cards that fit in a business envelope. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna make 2 cards. Maybe a bonus, we'll see. Okay, let's get started, here we go. I'm starting out by using my anti-static powder tool on a piece of Canson watercolor paper so that I can stamp and emboss my images. Now this giant rainbow here is from the Rainbow Stamp Set by Avery Elle. There's also a coordinating die set. I'll be using both in today's video, and there's a hot air balloon there. That's the Peekaboo Balloon stamp set. If you haven't seen that in action, that stamp set was actually one of my stamp sets of the month, so I will make sure and link that for you as well so you can check out all the videos I did with that balloon in case you missed them. So I'm embossing these with clear powder, and I am doing that because I want to do some watercoloring. So these are my Arteza watercolors, and I am doing some simple watercoloring. I hesitate sometimes to pull out the watercolors because I want my watercoloring to be amazing and fabulous and inspirational, but then I get intimidated and I don't do it, but it's so much fun and so enjoyable. So I decided that's what it was going to be. It was going to be a time for me to have fun doing something that I enjoy doing, even if it isn't like Christina Warner awesome watercoloring. It's still fun and it's mine. So if you're like me, I encourage you just to do this to have fun. If you want to then continue to hone your skills of watercoloring, you could totally do that. Take some classes. I know Christina has some, and then you can improve upon the skills. But just start out doing it for fun, which is what I am doing for these images right here. So I am using a number 2 brush to flood each area with a little bit of water, and then coming in with the watercolor over the top of that. And when I wanted a really subtle look, I used the pan on my watercolor set to mix that color with some extra water. So I was able to use the black to create gray to put a little shadow around my unicorn and soften down the pink as well. So now on the balloon I did 3 different colors of yellow because I thought it would be cool for it to look like a sun. This is going to be my background panel here, and I wanted to paint a scene that looked like a sky. So I'm watering down that blue and putting it onto a wet watercolor panel that measures 3 3/4 by 8 3/4 for my slimline card, because this is the slimline episode. So I am just freehanding some organic shapes. I don't want them to be perfectly cloud-like because I want this to appear like it's off in the distance. So that's why it's really free form. And then you don't have to worry if you like, oh, that one's a little wonky. You don't have to worry about that, right? Just have fun creating a background. So I did this all the way to the bottom of the page and I let that dry. You could also use your heat tool to help set it if you're in a hurry. And then I'm bringing in the clear shimmer spray by Avery Elle, shaking that up and spraying it on to create some shimmer. And I'm also going to use it on my rainbow, covering the clouds because that's where I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So when that's dry, then I can stamp that with a purple ink, and it says, "You make the world more colorful." So cute, right? So I die cut that out with the coordinating dies, and I'm gluing it onto my background panel, and it hangs off a little bit on the edge. I will trim that off. I put my unicorn in the hot air balloon with his little hooves hanging over. I love it. Peekaboo sets make me so happy. So I am now trimming off that excess and cutting it so that it's flush with my card base, or my card front, really. I'm taking more of the clear shimmer spray and tapping it onto my glass mat, and I'm coloring it on these clouds that are from the hot air balloon set that I already stamped and embossed on watercolor paper, and then I can glue those onto my scene and put them, I'm going to put them around the hot air balloon and on the over the rainbow a little bit so that it gives it that dimensional type look, and there's clouds that are in the foreground and clouds that are far away. And do you wonder where the unicorn's going? He's going somewhere over the rainbow. Yeah. Oh. So cute. All right, this is going to be mounted onto a card base that measures 9 inches by 8 inches, and it's scored at 4 inches. This is the size that fits into the business size envelopes that I have. Just make sure when you're creating a slimline card that your card will fit into the business size envelopes that you have, because some are a little bit different in size. All right, on to card number 2. For this one, I went crazy. Did so many things. First, I watercolored a panel in each of the rainbow colors, and I set those aside to dry, and I will be die cutting them. So one for each color of the rainbow, and these panels are about 4 inches by 4 inches. And then I'm taking this die from that rainbow die set and die cutting out a rainbow in each of the 6 colors. Okay, now we're using that die set some more. So this is the smallest of the frames, and I'm putting that rainbow piece inside of it. And then I'm taking the cloud piece and putting that inside of it. And I'm going to die cut all of these together to create this frame. Once I have that frame, I'm going to take the larger of the 2 dies and die cut out a panel to mount that on. Then I use the clouds by themselves, and I use the smaller frame by itself on a window sheet so I could create a shaker. Now on that frame that I created, I'm putting some glue and letting that dry till it's tacky. Yeah, the scary part is pouring out some of the shimmer spray and hoping a ton doesn't come out. It's scary to me. So I'm using that shimmer spray to coat each of the rainbow pieces that I will be using on today's card while the glue is drying over there on my frame, because I want that frame to be tacky so I can use it as a template and then I can remove it. So that's why I'm letting that Tombow glue dry. Now I had plenty of shimmer spray, so I brought in my card base and I'm using that shimmer to splatter on my card, and also some blue watercolor to splatter on as well, because this scene is going to be rain, like it's raining, so the blue splatter plays into that. All right, I am stamping out the unicorn and his hooves again, and I will watercolor that as well. I'm going to do this one in just pinks because I had no pink in this card, so I really wanted to bring that in. I still had some shimmer spray over there, so I am mixing it in with my pink watercolor for a shimmery look for this unicorn, and I love it. It's really cute. So painting him the same way I painted the unicorn number 1, just only using pink. I'm taking the raindrop stamps from the rainbow stamp set and stamping them on the scraps of my watercolor panel, so I have 2 raindrops in each of the rainbow colors. Next, I am creating a die by placing those 3 dies together that I can repeatedly use to cut out 6 additional frames to create a reservoir for my shaker. So I decided I wasn't going to need the inside pieces because my shaker is going to be one big open shaker. But if you wanted each of your rainbow stripes to be its own shaker, you could leave these pieces in. Now I'm going to glue all 6 of those together and stack them up so they're nice and thick and will be a good thickness for the shaker elements that I'm using on my card. You could also use fun foam if you wanted. I just felt this frame was too flimsy for that. So now the glue is dry on the back of this panel. I'm going to place that onto my large die cut piece and inlay my glitter clouds and each of my rainbow stripes. And then once each of those are glued into place, I can take that rainbow template, so to speak, right off, because now I'm going to use it as the cover for my shaker. So I'm just being really careful to remove that, and then I'm going to put some more glue on it and adhere it down to that window panel that I die cut with that smaller of the 2 die frames. And I We'll let that dry for a few minutes because, you know, gluing onto a window sheet needs a little extra time. We'll set that aside, and then I'm going to bring in the reservoir that I created with those die cut pieces, and I'm going to glue that down around my inlaid rainbow. You can see it fits snug right around each of those inlaid pieces. All right, I'm going to put the glue on top of the frame, and I'm going to let it set for just a second while I get my shaker pieces out. These are the Quartz Rainbow Triangles by Nuvo. I used them in my last video. Love them for my rainbow shaker card. And then with my glue setting for just a second, it stiffens up just a tiny bit. So when I put this on the top of it, it's not going to like squish out as much. So we'll set that aside. I have one of the cloud pieces that I had as a leftover from die cutting all those rainbow frames. I turned it upside down and stamped my sentiment on it and mounted it onto my card. So that my rainbow shaker fits snug in the corner of my card, I'm cutting off the side and the bottom. With those removed, then it's going to really fit nicely into the corner and not hang off the side of the card as much. Now I'm going to tuck in my little unicorn like he's peeking out over the rainbow, and to make that look even more effective, you gotta put the hooves on there. They're adorable. And I'm just putting those on with glue. And there he is. So cute. All right, here's all those rainbow or raindrops that I die cut. I arranged them how I wanted, and then I'm gluing them into place. And once I get each of those glued down, I'm going to bring in some glaze and cover each of these with glaze because the glaze gives it a look of them being wet and shiny and just adds to that feel of it actually raining. So the sentiment says, "You make it rain rainbows," which is just perfect for this card, and I love how this one turned out. It might be my favorite, but don't tell card number 1 that. No. Which one's your favorite? I would love to know. And you can leave a comment below and tell me. I would love to hear from you and chat with you. And you can see here on the original card, the first card, I stamped some hearts from that Rainbows stamp set just to give it a little added interest. And I love how that turned out. Little details. You gotta have the little details. That's it for me for episode 4. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday for episode 5 because there's a 5th Tuesday in April. Yay! I'll be back with some more ideas for you with this stamp set, and I will have more videos in between then, so be sure to subscribe and ring the little bell, and YouTube will let you know when I have my next video up. Okay, I hope you have a fabulous day and happy stamping. Bye!